Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he's got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Super Rugby. Once again, I'm joined in studio by Piri Weepu.
Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora.
All good?
Good. I'm not sick this week, so I'm good.
100% or 90?
I'll be about handy.
Well, what sort of sickness? Was it like a man flu? Was it proper? Were you really sick? Well, what was the deal?
I was running to the wharapaku.
Oh, okay.
That's that kind of illness.
That kind.
Yeah.
Well, that was going around, actually.
It sure was.
There was a couple of people at work that
Got it from my son who went to the pools, and that's where we found
That's
out. Exactly.
We found where it came from.
Well, I didn't come to the studio, so it wasn't from me.
No, it was from the pool. It was from the water.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Someone who wasn't sick last week was our good friend Ben Searle of Surly Talk Sports. Surly, welcome back, bro.
Yeah, avoid the pools at all costs, and you guys almost went into too much detail, So I think we'll leave it there, but grateful I'm not sick.
Look, I've got a rhyme that I live by. If the water is blue, there is no poo. If the water is brown, going to take you down. So you just live by those words, guys, and you should. Clark, we got another guest as well up north. Our good friend Steve Devine. Steve, welcome back to the Pick and Go once again.
Yeah, hi everyone. I can guarantee you, Petty, you weren't as sick as I was on Saturday night last week.
Was that a different sort of sickness, though?
Yeah, it was more stomach induced for sure.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in the not too distant future. But so, what did you get up to last week?
Nothing.
At all?
Oh, still tried to go to work. It didn't work really well.
Oh,
yeah. I just try and figure out how to go somewhere where no one could see me.
Right. Okay. What about you two up north, Surly? Anything exciting happened last week for you?
I had my first preseason hit out against College Rifles, managed to survive the turf, had the dinner suit on, played a very astute performance, 40 minutes of just zero contact, just guiding the team around the paddock, and still got the win. So I managed to come away completely unscathed. Coaches thought I put in a great knock. So win-win, lads, win-win.
The only clean player on the field.
Oh, there's no dirt on turf, but I was the only one without grazes and cuts all over me. So, yeah, look, great double victory, really.
Right, and
What a team, man.
Oh, always. There was one moment where I thought I should chop tackle this guy, but I was like, nah, I'm going to go high. I'm going to give away some post-contact meters, and I'm going to preserve the knee grazes for the rest of the season.
Steve,
do you play number 10? Do you play number 10 by any chance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. 14 years of it, mate. I'm well experienced. I know when to put body on the line and when not to.
I bet you your halfback has no skin on his either elbow, either knee.
Oh, he was in a dinner suit too, but the second five was cooked, and the flanker. They made a lot of cover tackles. Good on them.
I hope you bought them a beer.
Absolutely.
I spent a bit of time this week out on the water, boys, which was pretty nice. We've had some pretty good weather up here in Auckland, and it's been a good week. Bagged the marlin on Sunday afternoon, so it was all good.
How long was the fight?
Well, you wouldn't believe this. When you're hot. The marlin took 2 lures, so. He had 3 hooks jammed into him and 2 37 kg stand-up line. So it didn't take that long to get him in. He was, I think he knew he was in some trouble and gave up pretty early.
Wow.
Okay. Right, back to rugby. Okay. Is that all right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
You keep fishing for different stories, so yep.
Just saying.
That was a great story too, and you just cut it really short, Paul.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, 3 hooks. Oof.
Selfish fish.
Don't we ask how much it's supposed to weigh?
It's probably around about 85, 90 kilo, I think. It's at the smoker, so it's going to be a good week coming forward.
Oh, beauty. So the pick and go boys will get some smoked fish in a week or two. Yeah, looking forward to that.
We'll see what we can manage.
Beauty. Okay, question for this week. With Tom Hooper channeling a WWF superstar, he did the suplex. He did it very well too. And he got away with it initially. But they went back and had a look, and that was not good. But it was a great move if you're a wrestler. So, with that being said, what Super Rugby player do you think would make the best WWF wrestler, and what would their wrestling name be? We'll head up north to Surly first.
Yeah, I've always got something jotted down for questions like this. This is where I do my best work. I was thinking Samipeni Finau would go well, the Tongan Tornado, and his go-to move would be the Samipeni spear tackle, like he's done so many times on first fives, and he'd just be folding blokes. And he would be someone not to mess with in the ring. Big body, hits hard, great build for it too. I reckon he'd be a real hit in the wrestling ring.
Nice, the Tongan Tornado. Yeah. Steve?
I also have we've had a Mr. T before. I'm not sure that Mr. T did a lot of wrestling back in the day, but I think we should have a Mr. Double T, which would be Mr. Tava Nawai.
Oh, yeah.
And he could do the old ring throw, and he comes back, just drop the shoulder on him and lay him out like he did a couple of weeks ago against the Wellington team. I think it was Punavai who came off second best that night. I reckon Mr. Double T, Tava Nawai.
Nice, yeah. Billy?
Do they have to be current?
No, it could be you.
What?
Well,
What, are you trying to bring back like Yokozuna or something? I was thinking JC, because he was notorious for doing a few WWE moves, and his name would be Terminator, which is already done, and it'll be the clothesline as his finishing move.
Yeah,
ask Chris Jack about that one.
Jerry Collins. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Oh, he did do he had to jump up to do it too, didn't he? I was going to go Dalton Papali'i, and he'd be called Papa D. And
Pardon me?
Papa D. Yeah. Dalton Papali'i.
I don't know if this is legal.
He doesn't get it.
What time slot is this wrestling on TV, Paulie? Are we talking the same show or?
Jesus.
Put you to sleeper hold. Yeah.
I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah, there's a lot to dissect there, Paulie. I think the less you say from here, the better.
What a fun. I thought that was a good one.
What? So you reckon Papa D is going to put you to sleep? In your brain, you were like, that works well.
That works. Is that, what if wow.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to some results?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Okay. Last week, it was round 6. And it started off with Moana Pacifica hosting the Chiefs, not in Tonga, but at Puki. And the Chiefs got off to a very, very quick start. And to be fair to Moana Pacifica, they fought back, and I think they got to within 8 points towards the end of the game, and then the Chiefs just put their foot down to win 50-35. Surly, what can you take from that game? The Chiefs obviously did enough to win.
Yeah, it was pretty bizarre, wasn't it? I was checking the score live at Mount Smart and then had to go back and watch the replay just to see what had gone down, because at halftime I was gutted for Moana because I thought this was going to blow out and be a 70, 80-pointer, but Moana came out firing in the second half. First half was all the DMAC and shooter show, and then a bit of rotation there, and the Chiefs just went off the boil, didn't they? Moana finally hit their straps. When they get their discipline and their set piece right and just take care of the little things, they got everything else in their game. It's just those fundamentals that let them down at times. Second 40, they sorted that out and made it an interesting watch. 8 points with 5 minutes to go. That Taukei'aho try at the end made the scoreboard look a little bit better for the Chiefs. But it's one of those ones, right, heading into a bye. I do wonder if the Chiefs coaches wouldn't have been too fizzed with that second 40. It's probably a good thing in a way. It keeps them fired up and motivated at the top of the ladder. But yeah, I was stoked to see Moana close the gap and make a bit more of a game of it, because I was worried it was going to be an embarrassing performance there.
Steve, the Chiefs were just cruising in that first half, and almost everything they did turned to gold. Are you look? They're at the top of the table. I guess they deserve to be there as well.
Well, I think the Moana team would be at the top of the table if it was just a 40-minute game and it was the second half every week. They've won every second half there is. They just tend to give 20, 30 in this game, almost 50 points away in the first 40. So they really need to address that, because when they do get it right, they're a pretty good team. I'm not sure what they're doing for warm-ups, but they need to have a good hard look at that, because they're definitely not starting how they should be.
Pete, what do you take out of that game?
Pretty much the same as what Stevie said in Sulu. They've been a pretty mean second half team. It's just the start. If they can get the start right, I think they're going to be a tough team to go up against. What's your take on it?
Well, have you ever been involved in a game where you got out to a big lead in the first half, and then things just sort of, they didn't quite go to plan in the second half, or the opposition came back? Is it hard when you've got a big lead at halftime to keep that intensity up?
Nah, it's more you think that you're tracking really well, and then the opposition finally hit their straps. Passes go to hand, the bounce of the ball goes in their favour. Everything that was going in your favour in the first half, sort of, it's like it switches, and you're trying to play. You're trying to chase the game when you're in the lead. We've had that before. We got off to a good start one year against the Reds, and then they come back, and it became a bit of a shit fight in the end, and we just got the win. But I mean, it wasn't pretty in the second half.
Rightio. Second game of the round, and the Reds come across the ditch and tip up one of the Kiwi teams, the Highlanders, 29-23. It was an entertaining game once again. Steve, you buying the Reds as contenders this year?
Yeah, I am. I think they're definitely the peak of the Aussie teams, and they will be there towards the end of the season. They're a well balanced team, and they work very well together. The Highlanders started well and probably should have done enough early on to get the win, but the Reds showed their class. They put some phases together and put some tries together. So I think that the Reds are serious contenders.
Surely, if you look at that game, the Highlanders were in it all the way and just couldn't quite finish things off in the end.
Yeah, I think they gave away too much field position and set-piece penalties, right? And if you do that to a quality side like the Reds, who had great impact off their bench too, they got good pivots there. They got a nice midfield. I think Dongunu's been great since moving into centre as well. They're a classy team, and if you give them opportunities to score points, they'll do it, despite missing a couple of their key players too. So yeah, well done to the Reds. I had them as my 1-12 upset last week. I think I ruined it with my other options in the multi, but I had them as a single bet personally, and I was glad to see that come through. But yeah, gutting for the Landers. I thought for the first 50 minutes they should have put that game away, and then the Reds were just too good in the end.
Pity, do you think the Landers being a fairly younger side that just at times their inexperience sort of it gets to them a wee bit?
Maybe in the key positions, rather than them playing percentage rugby, they chance their arm a bit more. So with a bit more experience, players in those key roles, I feel like they could potentially do a lot better. But yeah, being quite young, you just want to try and run everything, and then sometimes it's not what you should be doing. Been there, done that when we were younger, and you get in trouble from the coach later on, and you start looking at the footage later and realise that actually we could have just plugged corners, tried to put more pressure on them in their red zone and make them make the errors, and then we're in a better position. But yeah, I think being a bit younger, you just chance your arm and want to do the best.
Steve, your wrestler, who's it, Mr. Double T?
Yeah.
Once again, he's like another loose forward on the ground, but regardless of what jersey number he has on his back, and he is certainly putting his hand up for higher honours.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just week in, week out. We talk about him. He's on fire, and like Petty said, you get a telling off from the coaches at the end of the match when you sort of tend to throw the game away. And I would hate to get a telling off from Jamie Joseph. I reckon they'll know exactly where they stand. And when he says something, it gets done right. And they certainly had the opportunities to win that match, and they sort of threw it away. But yeah, the Reds are they're a quality team, and they've got themselves out of trouble a few times. So I certainly think they're going to be there at the back end of the season, particularly semi-finals time.
I've been on the receiving end of it.
Of what? Of a Jamie Joseph? Really?
Yeah, all the boys.
What
we've copped it at
in the dressing rooms or at training or like halftime or
all of the above?
Is that right?
Yeah. The worst is when you do it at training. At training, it's like it gets to the point where it's just like, sweet, on the line.
What was it? And then what? Sprints?
Pretty much down and ups. We sometimes I think we've done over 101 on one side of the field, and then we had to go down the other side.
What?
Down and ups between the sideline and the 5, and then you move up to the next quarter and just keep going up to the other end of the field. Work your way around the other side, go back down the side until he's happy.
Oh, gee. Don't make Jamie angry then.
Well, Namir's doing those styles with our first 15 boys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they piss them off at training. He was like, sweet, on the line. And they just look at each other like, shit, man.
They'll be the fittest team in the comp. Okay, let's move on to the round, the game of the round. Well, it was supposed to be, and it was for Crusader fans. Holy moly. Boy, did the bookies get this one wrong. Crusaders 42, Blues 19. And I think the 19 was sort of, I hate to say that with Steve here. Boy, oh boy. He's not listening. So we'll go to Surly first. But
I really want to hear Steve first. Let him go. Let him go.
Don't let me go. Don't wind me up now.
Steve, what happened?
I'm gonna tell you a little bit of truth, and I actually turned it off. I couldn't watch, and that's where it was. It wasn't a great night, and you get some of those, and it's how you bounce back that's important, and that's all I have to add, team. It was a horrible watch, a horrible performance. Blues are outclassed across the paddock. But as we said last week, I couldn't believe that the Crusaders said last week when we spoke were paying $2, and that was, for me, was crazy money. And anyway, TAB got it wrong. I'm sure plenty got it right. And well done to the Crusaders, and that hurts me. But I'll say it again, well done to the Crusaders.
Silly.
That must hurt. That must hurt to say.
Oh, yeah, you can tell.
It hurts more than your Lucy's elbows and knees trying to get
Surely there's plenty of money that headed down south after that Crusaders. And as Steve said, the bookies had them as outsiders, $2. And it was just too much to resist in the end. And the punters were right, to be fair. Boy, oh boy, did the Crusaders look very, very sharp.
Yeah, I think my only mistake was taking the Crusaders 1-12, not 13 plus. Got word of a couple outs closer to kickoff, and I couldn't believe that dollar amount didn't move. That the Blues fans obviously were still punting them home, but yeah, this Crusaders side, they take on Moana this week. Chiefs have the bye. They could be sitting at the top of the table. It's a massive turnaround off the back of last year. And obviously last year they were hit so hard with injuries and unavailability to key players. But they're looking sharp this year. They're certainly back in the mix. I think that was their first away win since the 2023 final as well. So good for Rob Penny and co to pick up a win on the road. I was really impressed with that hooker too. and him and Kyle Preston that found a couple lads that you wouldn't have had in your 23 in the preseason. I reckon both have looked pretty sharp. But yeah, what's his name? Ioane Monamu, or apologies if I pronounced the last name wrong, but he looked talented, man.
Speaking of the halfback, he looked very, very good. Pity he knows the way to the try line, but it's his all-round game that is really, really standing up. And I guess prior to the season starting, you looked at the Crusaders and you thought, well, they may be a wee bit shaky in that 9-10 jersey, but they've looked very, very strong there.
Yeah, I think Cole's done pretty well, from that very first round, got his opportunity and hasn't looked back, really. He's been awesome, runs good lines, gets rid of the ball really well, gets there pretty quick too, and his, all-round game's been pretty solid. So, yeah, it's been good to see him sort of, grow into that role, and with more game time, it just shows how good he can be. It's been good to watch, actually, because, last year we talked about the Crusaders that lost about 6 or 7 games early in the piece, and we still thought that they were going to come back and, put themselves in a position. But I feel like last year was totally different to this year. This year they've grown from last year huge, and I think this might be the Crusaders of old that we were waiting for last year.
From fishing to duck hunting. We'll go back to...
Is that you? You chiming in again there, Shirley.
No, that was perfect timing from Steve, wasn't it? Jeepers.
I couldn't agree more with Kyle Preston. His NPC form at the end of last year was impressive, and he's just really carried on. He's got all the skills, and as a great 9, if there's ever a ball to be thrown back on the inside and support play, he's always there. So he certainly knows his way to the try line and must also be in contention for later in the season.
So Steve, what happens with Hotham when he's fully fit? How do they balance things out?
Well, you play form, right? And and injuries happened. Hotham is probably gonna need to fight his way, take his little opportunities into the last 10 minutes of the matches when he gets on, and take his opportunities from there. But it'd be a pretty hard pressed, or almost even harder than Macca Springer, who got dropped after scoring 5 tries. I guess Kyle Preston would be pretty disappointed to get dropped. I don't think he's probably the form player of the team at the moment. You probably couldn't do that at all.
Surely the depth of the Crusaders now looks just so good. They've got, I guess, back, as Steve just said, Macca Springer scores 5 and then finds himself on the bench the very next game. Still scored a try. But they are looking very, very good. And as you say, with a win this weekend and the Chiefs on the bye, they can jump over the top and be number 1 after this weekend.
Yeah, and the scary thing is they've still got areas of their game they'd like to improve on. I think goal kicking was probably one of those where they left some points out there as well. So, yeah, I guess for someone like Noah, if he gets the opportunity to start against Moana and they give a couple guys a bit of a rest, then he's got to take that opportunity and turn it into a winner. But if you're Preston, you're saying don't rest me, and I think you're dumb if you rest players against Moana too. So yeah, it's going to be tough for him to push back in. And then how does he go with the All Blacks squad, right? Have they already made their mind that he's in that squad prior to the year starting, or is Preston a chance to push his way in? It's going to be interesting.
Yep. Let's move across the ditch. And well, here's a team I just can't get a hold of, the Waratahs, who were significant outsiders at home. Get up and tip over the Brumbies 28-23. What do we take out of this game, Pity? Who are the real deal? Is it the Tars? Is it the Brumbies just have an off night? The Tars just a wee bit too good for them at home?
I'd probably say the Brumbies had an off night. I mean, you look, they came to Auckland, got their first win in a long time, so they can actually play footy. It's just on how consistent they can maintain that. So I think the Tars are just building really well, though. Like just looking at a few interviews of a few of the players and what they're sort of trying to achieve, and it's all sort of coming together. I know it's early stages in the campaign, but they're building something pretty special. One of my old teammates, is one of the coaching staff over there, and Lockie McCaffrey, and so he's sort of been enjoying his stint at the Tars and enjoying the role that he has there.
If we look at that game and if we look at the table, Surly, we can see that the Tars are ahead of the Brumbies at the moment, and they also have a game in hand. The Brumbies still have to take their bye. So the Tars, are you buying them at the moment to that they're the real deal?
Yeah, I think I had them in 4th or 5th in my preseason predictions, and I was a little worried last week against the Reds once they got towed up. But yeah, there's a football side there. I guess for them, it's just coming up with the consistency week in and week out. They've got some good depth too, though, because they've still got some star players to come back. I think it was their first win at home against the Brumbies since 2015 as well. So a bit of a milestone for them, and no doubt they'll take big confidence from that one. Yeah, it's crazy, 4 Aussie teams in the top 6. I thought the Aussie sides were going to be good this year and much improved, but if you'd told me at the start of round 7 that there'd be 4 of the 6, I probably wouldn't have believed you. 3 possibly, but I still think the 4s are probably the story of the year for me. The Tars are in the mix, but yeah, that team from Perth's going great.
Steve, let's move on to the Force, who were completely dominant against the Drua. Now, we know the Drua aren't quite as good away from Fiji as they are back home, but you're disappointed with the effort shown by the Drua last weekend?
Never disappointed. You know, they have their brand of rugby that they stick to, rain, hail or shine, and you know, they don't travel well, and they don't have to travel further than Perth. So she was a long haul for them. Yeah, they just listen. I love the way that Drua play, but you know, I certainly also think that this Force team is a Force team that we haven't seen in the competition before. They're probably the best Force team ever assembled, and they're starting to play good footy. Big, strong ball carriers. The loose forwards are impressive, and the backs have plenty of speed out wide. So, you know, this is the best Force team we've ever seen, and that's because, you know, they've picked up a bit of extra depth from the Melbourne Rebels, and, you know, Aussie Rugby's looking pretty good with 4 teams.
Aussie Rugby is looking pretty good, Pity, with 4 teams in the top 6 as we head into round 7. But in terms of the Western Force, they rested a few players last week for the trip across to Christchurch to take on the Crusaders, and that looks like to have paid off big dividends this weekend, the weekend just gone, with them really taking care of the Drua quite easily.
Yeah, I guess it's, you know, as coaching staff, you want to try and figure out which ones you know you won't do very well in, so you try and capitalise on the week after. And obviously, they, like you said, they held arrested a few boys to let them loose against the Drua, knowing that they don't travel very well. But yeah, I am a bit disappointed in the Drua. I was expecting a bit more from them. I know everyone says that they're not very well when it comes to travelling and being away from home. They put the shitters on the canes over here, so they can actually travel. It's just whether they can pull it together and make it work in their favour and play a bit more better.
Surely they did put a better performance together against the Hurricanes. I guess it's only like a 3.5 hour plane trip to Wellington, as opposed to I don't know, 6-7 hours all the way across to Perth. And if you're a big guy, and most of those Drua are 6 foot plus, so I'm guessing if they don't have premium seats, then the old knees can get a bit of a workout on the plane trip. They could be a wee bit sort of, I guess. I've never had this problem because I'm not bloody tall enough, but I'm guessing for big guys, a long plane trip can have a negative effect on your performance if you don't have that time to regain sort of your fitness.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it can, for sure. And the travel would have 100% played a big factor into it. The thing for me is the stuff they can control, just errors and discipline in key areas of the paddock. And then their forward pack just got outworked by a hungry forward pack in the force. And that Tizano, he's a footballer, man. He's unreal to watch. Saved my fantasy team last week. Unfortunately, I didn't have the wizard Harry Potter on the wing. I think he was the biggest scoring player over the weekend too. So, yeah, they got some players in there. They're a good side, the Force, but disappointing for the draw. I think they have the bye this week, and it's probably come at the perfect time because they're in do or die situation now if they weren't already last week.
Okay, another question for you guys. And, well, first of all, are the Blues last year's Crusaders? Are we going to be looking and thinking,
Steve?
Wow.
If you have a look at the table right now, they're equal second last with the Fijian Drua on 7 points. Moana Pacifica are at the bottom of the table, but they've got a game in hand, I think. So, look, I know last year we looked at the Crusaders and we thought, well, they're going to make the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs. They'll be very, very dangerous when they make the play. They didn't make the playoffs. Is it now starting for Blues fans, Steve? Are you starting to just get a wee bit nervous?
Mate, I was nervous a few weeks ago, but I said last week it'll come down to that the Blues v Fiji in Fiji. I think will be a deciding factor for the Blues campaign. And that's, I think, 3 weeks away. So the Blues have got a bye this week. You know, they're desperate for a bye to get some bodies back. They've got a long injury list, and they're getting a few back soon. So that'll change things. They're just really missing ball carriers, big ball carriers, who love taking the ball to contact. And, you know, that's a big part of the Blues game. It's, you know, where they were famous last year. Their forwards won them the match. They got into the 22 and they rumbled to score points, and they just don't have those ball carriers on the decks at the moment. So that's what's hurting them. They're trying to play the same game plan without those big ball carriers. Is it dire straits? Yeah, it is. They've got to start winning matches. Their season was always tough at the start of the season, and they do finish a bit easier. So that'll help, but they just need bodies back. They really need to get some bodies back on, particularly ball carrying forwards.
Shirley, if we sort of extrapolate that slightly and have a look at the table overall, we've already mentioned the 4 Australian teams are inside the top 6 currently, and there are 3 New Zealand teams outside of the top 6. Is it time to start panicking for New Zealand rugby fans in terms of are we gonna get another 1 or 2 teams inside the playoffs?
Well, when you look at 7, 8, and 9, they're all Kiwi teams, and it is still reasonably tight on the ladder, especially that 5, 6, 7, 8. There's some big games this weekend: Canes, Tars, and Brumbies, Landers. I think those will be interesting watches, and a couple Kiwi sides will want to bounce back there. I think the one that should be panicking is the Blues, though. They got the bye now, so it's a bit of a reset. They got 14 players out, and 6 or 7 of them, if not more, are pretty key players to that side. Steve mentioned the run home. There is some, like, they do have Crusaders away, they do have the Reds away, and the Drua away, all to come. And you probably got to win 2 of those 3 on the road to be in the mix come the end. So, yeah, they've got a massive back stretch coming up, and they need bodies back. And they need some leaders back as well, especially in that forward pack. So they're probably the most concerning. But, yeah, the Aussie sides at the moment, they're up for it. And they've taken that kind of underdog status, and they've got a point to prove. And they're playing some pretty good footy. I think still the team that is most likely to drop out would be the Force, and we get another Kiwi side in there. But, yeah, look, at the moment, they deserve to be in the 6. They deserve to have 4 of the teams in the 6.
Pete, are you a wee bit concerned about how the Kiwi teams are going at the moment, outside of the Chiefs and the Crusaders?
No, I think I'm not really concerned. It's more how we can play. It's the style of footy that the boys are playing. It's quite expensive. in terms of the style that most of the New Zealand teams are playing. And I think the Aussie teams are a little bit more conservative with a little bit of entertainment in terms of how they're playing, which is kind of like what the Crusaders have always been. They've been pretty conservative, plug the corners, force error, and then that's their chance to actually play footy. And I feel like the Aussie teams have adopted that a bit more this year, which has been giving them, I guess, huge results in the end, and the way that where they're sitting at the table. But yeah, I don't think we need to stress too much. I mean, the only thing that we need to worry about is figuring out how we can limit the points scored against us defensively. I think entertainment-wise and in terms of how they're playing footy on the attack side of things has been awesome. Good to see the way that the boys are utilising their pods and the skill set of our forwards, whereas back in the day it was just tuck it under the old wing and clean out, and hopefully that the boys do the job and you can recycle the ball. But now it's a bit more you don't know whether they're going to carry. They go back door, shift it to an edge with their space, and then make inroads there. So yeah, my biggest concern will just be around the defence side of most of our teams, because most of these score lines have been 40 plus the majority of these games.
Steve, look at it from a different angle. If you put your baggy green cap on, can you see these?
What cap?
Mate, I threw that away years ago, mate.
Okay, just
You're in for it today, aren't you?
wow. I'll tell you what, but poor old Steve is Blues got absolutely. At least they don't lose this weekend. But
Well, they don't actually get any points either, and that's what they most need.
If you look at it from an Australian perspective, can you see all four of these Aussie teams staying in the six by the time we get to the business end of the season?
Listen, for me, I still think it's the Waratahs are probably not the most consistent team. I know they've got 4 wins from 5 matches, but when they don't get it right, they look terrible when they don't get it right. I know they've got some special athletes to come back, but I was surprised the Brumbies dropped them, because I just thought the Brumbies would be more consistent through the night, but they were terrible. I think the Brumbies are. I like the Force team, is what I'm saying. I think for me they're more likely to get it right a bit more often. I think they're playing great footy. I just think the Aussie teams are stronger this year because they've dropped a team and their depth is just a bit deeper. Where I still believe the Moana team is a New Zealand team, so we literally have 4 in the bottom 5. Most 95%, 98% of the Moana team are contracted to New Zealand Rugby, and it's just spread our base too thin. Each Super Rugby team in New Zealand, which is the 6 of them with Moana, have great 22s, but once you get a few injuries, there's just not the depth in behind to pull guys out. I mean, the Blues reserve hooker a few weeks ago, he hasn't even played NPC. We just don't have the depth to field 6 teams, and it's all right at the start of the season when no one's injured, but once we get a few injuries, we just don't have the depth to carry 6 teams, and that's why we're struggling. Aussie dropped a team, and we pretty much gamed a team, so it's thinnest. It's spread us pretty thin, and that's why we're struggling, I believe. And that you look at the Crusaders, they got plenty back and they've got great depth, and the Chiefs have probably at the start of the year had the best depth of any team in the entire competition, and then they're at the top because they have good depth. And unfortunately, the Hurricanes are thin, the Highlanders are thin, the Blues are thin, and Moana are pretty thin. So, and that's the problem with having a 6 extra team.
Shirley, has the pendulum swung too far that way, with Australia losing a team and thereby increasing their depth across the remaining 4 teams, and with, as Steve correctly states, Moana are basically a New Zealand team. So now we've got 6 teams, and we're trying to spread our talent across those 6 teams, and there's not quite enough there when you get into a wee bit of injury trouble.
Yeah, I guess if you look at the ladder, that tells the story, doesn't it? So you can certainly form that argument. I think the Rebels dropping out, although it wasn't what people wanted at the time. I think it's been possibly the best thing for the competition and for Australian rugby as well. So, yeah, the Aussie sides, it allowed them to spread some talent. All their teams got stronger as a result, and it's showing on the ladder. So it's hard to argue that point for sure.
Righty-ho, let's move on to a wee bit of punting, and we can have a look back to last week and what went on. I'll have a look at me. I'll have a look at me.
Is it that bad?
I didn't have a collect. I had the Crusaders to win into the Highlanders to win, so Highlanders let me down. And then I had Tomai Falau to score a try into Will Jordan to score a try. Yeah, unfortunately, that was no good. So down 100 last week, still up 762 for the season. If we
smart.
Yeah, not bad.
we look at Surly, boy, oh boy, he tried to go for the perfect round again, it looks like. Chiefs minus 5.5, Reds plus 6.5, Crusaders plus 6.5, Drua plus 10.5, and the Brumbies head to head. No good there. And then he had Reds to win by 1-12 into either the Blues or Crusaders to win by under 7.5. So no good there as well. Minus 100 for him there. Let's have a look. Was Goldie last week? No.
That was me.
Oh, me. You
I had
had
100 honey on the Blues.
You had 100. I thought you had 100 on a nice big multi. Chiefs, Brumbies, Force, Reds, Blues.
Yeah.
No good.
Not even close.
No. Let's see. Nothing else. Where are you? Oh, you were away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was running to the wharapuku.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A bit like our tips last weekend.
Yeah, but like our bets, mate. Shit.
Down the toilet. Let's have a look forward to this week, and we'll go with Surly first. Surly, where's your money going?
Again, the perfect round multi just appeals to me every time. So I'm putting $80 on that. I'm going the Brumbies and the Reds head to head, Canes 1-12, and Crusaders minus 6.5. That's paying $4.88. I'm chucking $80 on that. And then I got $20 on the Canes 1-12 into Macca Springer for a try once the teams get named. Multi those two up. Surely the Big Mac scores again. He's in an insane run up against Moana. Surely he gets the start. Give him the start.
Crazy. I like it. Steve, with no Blues team this weekend, where are you going to put your money?
Yeah, my chance of winning this week then, aren't I? I'm going to go for all the home teams for a win. You'd be a crazy man, I think, right now if he's selected on Wednesday to not have Sevi Reece to score a try. At some stage during a footy match at the moment because he is on fire. So all the home teams and Sevi Reece to score a try.
Nice. Really pretty.
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm well and truly in the...
You're chasing Victor.
Yeah.
Tip Moana, mate. I know you want to. Part of it, he does it every week. Tip him.
I'll take Canes... Canes 12 and under.
Oh, no.
Brumbies 13 plus.
Oh.
Crusaders.
Ooh.
12 and under.
Oi.
He's swinging for the fences.
And the Force to win. And I'll put a handy on it.
Pity, you know it's a 19-week competition. We're only in round 7, and you've been chasing your losses since the end of round 1. There's a way to build back.
I started off with a hiss and a roar last year.
Yes! I can confirm. Fitty hasn't had one win this season. Oh, gee.
Yep, I'm definitely chasing.
Okay, all right. I've got 2 bets. I'm going to take the Canes 1-12 into the Crusaders 13 and over. That comes out at $3.69. I'm going to put $70 on that. And then I'm going to take a same game multi in the Canes game. I'm going to have Roygard, Larkai, and Naholo all to score a try. $30 on that same game multi. That's it. We're good.
Easy peasy.
Uh,
You're not saying that anymore.
what do you mean?
Every time you do your multis,
Easy peasy. Yeah, well, after not getting a win last week, it's not easy peasy anymore. It's bloody hard. So, what are you up to?
We've got a preseason hit out against Fielding. So
Who's that? Wellington College.
Wellington College. Yep. So go along to that, and then my son to his interclub
Golf.
out at Shandon.
Oh, cool. Beauty. No fishing. What about Steve? Out in the boat again?
I'm definitely going to attempt to get out on the boat again. There's still a few out there, so we'll keep chasing. Just keep chasing. That's what we'll do.
That looks like a man who's going out today, eh? That smile on his face. He just looked out the window too. That's a bloke. It's a beautiful day, no wind. He's about to go out.
And not a breath of wind up here too.
Yeah.
How long were you out the other day? You caught your marble.
We did a day. We were on the water at probably 7, just after 7, and out over the west coast over the Manukau Bar, and back at 4 o'clock with a mullen aboard. You'll have to come up, mate, and have a fish.
I've been over there.
That bar.
Oh, get that wrong. She gonna be ugly.
It can be ugly.
Oh yeah.
Surly. Northcote, where they going?
Yeah, first comp game this week. We're heading up north through the toll road to take on Mahurangi, which were last year's big improvers. They made the semi-final for the first time in a long time. So, yeah, looking forward to that. First hit out, so there's always a bit of rust. It should be a close clash and an interesting one.
Beauty. That's it.
What about you?
I'm going to head down to Trentham on Saturday. It's Size Produce Day, Group 1 Size Produce Day. So head down there, hopefully make $1 or $2. And that's about it for me this weekend.
Not slugging the clubs around today? This weekend?
Nah, I played in first round of the last man standing last Sunday and lost on the last hole. So I've been knocked out. First round, all done. Never mind. Back to the drawing board. Righty-ho, that's it for us again. Thanks to Surly, thanks to Steve for chipping in and helping us out and trying to, I guess, help us decipher what's going on in Super Rugby and hopefully finding a few winning bets. Thanks to Pity for turning up, coming along again. Good to see that you're healthy. No, I'm happy to see you're healthy again. And thanks to you guys for tuning in and watching, and we'll be back again. Well, hopefully all of us will be back again next week when we go again on the Pick and Go.